Hey guys, what's going on? I'm finally out of treatment. I've been out for a couple weeks now. Um, yeah, I'm gonna change the channel around now. I'm going to delete all the drug addict bullshit that I had on there before and just it's gonna just be a true crime channel from now on. Um, I'm in sober living right now. Been out for like a month, so I've got a good amount of sober time now. Today I wanted to talk about a, a horrible person. You guys have probably heard of her. She killed a lot of people very close to where I was from, Belleville. She's from near Toronto, like 2 hours from Toronto. It's called Woodstock, Ontario. She was a nurse. Her name was Elizabeth Wettlaufer, and she killed a lot of elderly people by using insulin. So I'll tell you guys just a little bit about insulin. Um, Insulin is one of the most anabolic substances known to man. Your body produces it. As you know, if your body stops producing insulin, you become hyperglycemic, and that is having too much blood sugar because your body is not producing insulin to change the blood sugar or carbs that you're consuming into glycogen and muscle glycogen. So when that happens, you can die, and you can also die from too much insulin, and that is being hypoglycemic. And that's things like you have too much blood sugar, basically, because your body is not, there's too much blood sugar in your system. Your body's unable to break it down in time. And that's when you have things like heart attacks and it's just, I'm not sure what all of the things that happen are, but definitely one of the main one is heart attacks, brain damage. It's a horrible way to go. And this lady was injecting people that were war veterans on literally on their last legs. People who had their like grandkids and kids coming to visit them, and they're in their 80s, 90s. And she was a drug addict. She was stealing drugs from the hospital she worked in, and she was just a complete mess. So I'm just going to tell you guys kind of the timeline and what happened to her. So I believe all this started in 2007. So ironically enough, the guy who invented insulin, his name was Frederick Banting, and he was from Toronto. And this was in 1920. So about 85 years later, not far from Toronto, this guy who won the Nobel Prize for creating insulin, this lady would, use it to kill people. So in 2007, she got a job working as, I think, a nurse or a nurse's assistant or something like that. She was a horrible nurse. Regularly, she got suspended for misusing, accidentally giving different patients the wrong drugs and stuff like that. So she also was taking ironically enough, one of the same drugs I was addicted to, hydromorph cotton, and they come in pills, and you can take apart the pills and take the beads out. And what she was doing was taking the pills from the elderly, because apparently it was actually easier for her to get the insulin than it was for her to get the actual drugs that she was addicted to at the time. So she was taking these pills from these elderly people. She was taking the beads out, sniffing them or eating them or doing whatever she wanted with them, getting high. And she actually got suspended one time because her boss found her passed out in the basement of one of the places she was working, one of the hospitals or elderly centers. That's she jumped from hospital to elderly center to she would get fired, but like the nurses, the the head of all the nurses, the group that runs it, they were very laxed, obviously, because they knew something was going on, and they continuously let her work. And she would get fired from one job or get let go, and they knew something was happening, but they didn't know what exactly. And what was happening was she was killing people. It started with the first few ladies. She injected them with a whole bunch of insulin, and they didn't die. So they think part of this could be some of the people that she injected could have been diabetic, which means they would have had a greater affinity to insulin when they were poked with it. They would not have immediately died, and they would have probably. That's why she got charged with a lot of attempted murder and assault, because that's what they considered it, assault. Um, because she didn't kill them. So the first few people were like test runs for her. She was able to get the insulin, procure it pretty easily, and she would be high off her ass, and she would be running around the hospital, and she would get this. What creeps me out is she would get this, what she called like a red surge. So it was like a surge of what she considered like almost a giggling, laughing feeling. And it was like she, under her warped mind, thought it was something like God telling her she needs to end these people's lives to make their lives better, or to make their families' lives better, or something like that. Just a twisted individual, obviously. So she would inject them with insulin, and they didn't die. And she would, kind of lock that moment away in a box and move on with her life. And then she would get that surge again in a week or so. She would do it again. And they would survive the second time, and it wasn't until the third time, and it was a war veteran, the third guy, and he was, I think, in his 80s, and she injected him, and he died. And from then until 2014, she went around gallivanting around the hospital with her insulin high off her ass, and she was killing people whenever she got this weird surge of laughter. And what's really creepy too is she's just a horrific looking person. She's just she's fat, and she's disgusting looking, morbidly obese. She waddles around the hospital with her insulin, and yeah, it's enough to make anyone sick. And she was obviously a slovenly lady with a drug addiction. She ate probably nonstop. Any sort of urge she had, she would want to fulfill, whether it was eating, whether it was drug abuse, and whether it was killing people. It was like she was always seeking that quickest moment to happiness. And she eventually sought it through killing. And yeah, she was a very creepy lady. And it wasn't until 2014 that she never even got caught. What happened was she went to rehab. This is maybe her one even somewhat redeeming quality, is that she did confess, but she probably only did it because the ghosts were probably just haunting her. So she finally got sober. She went to a treatment center in Toronto in 2013 or 2014. And she told the people who ran the treatment center what she had been doing. And she also got a sponsor at that time. She had told her sponsor. The sponsor just said that he thought that she was insane and a compulsive liar anyways. The people at the treatment center did not really take her seriously either. So she finally went to talk to a lawyer. And the lawyer told her not to say anything because I guess he was trying to do what was best for her, I guess, for some reason. But that's assuming what she's saying is even truthful, which it probably isn't. But she claims that she told a lawyer who basically told her not to say anything, and the same with a pastor, a priest. She told them, and they told her not to say anything. So that happened a number of times, and she just ended up going into the police station. She waddled her gigantic ass into the police station finally, and you can find that online too, the whole police interrogation video. I've seen it before, and it's pretty disturbing, just some of the details she gives and how she just seems like she has zero remorse. I think the only reason she went to the police in the first place was to try to get like some sort of diminished sentence. What really pissed me off in that video too was that she kept talking about how she assumed she was going to go home after the interview, and she did too. They let her go home. She just said, I just want to go home, get my affairs in order. And but she kept saying that throughout the interview. She couldn't even sit for the whole thing because her ass bone was probably going to break because she weighs probably close to 400 pounds. So she's getting around. She lets a big fart rip too in the interview. And she apologizes for it. And the cop's probably just like, fuck my life. You know, what the hell am I doing? And yeah, so she did get 25 years in jail. She's there till this day. I think she's going to be 74 by the time she's ever released. I just thought this was an interesting case for a number of reasons. And number one, because she went after like elderly and children are people in our communities, and you know, we have to protect them because they're weak. They're weaker than, you know, middle-aged, younger teenagers. Like, that's why we have to look out for them, because they need our help. And when I'm an old man, I would hope that people are looking out for me. But you put these people in hospitals because you're hoping they're getting the best care they can. And when there's some lady in there using drugs, giving people the wrong medication, taking the medication, and then stealing insulin to kill other people, it's a horrific thing. It's just as bad, in my opinion, as murdering children. This lady was supposed to, it's just almost the same as police officers killing people. It's like the people that are supposed to protect our community are killing them. And they should be held to a higher standard than everybody else. Although nobody should be held to a lower standard, as in us assuming that they're going to kill anybody. That's not right anyways. But like, yeah, it's crazy to think that this lady killed so many people and just ruined so many families. And for what? Because she had this weird red surge, is what she called it. I don't know, something I guess can be said for the fact that she admitted to it, but her MO was killing old people. She had no access anymore. She had been banished from all these hospitals from screwing up so many times. And so the gig was up anyways. I think she only did it to either lighten her sentence or to, get some peace of mind, because she probably wasn't having any peace of mind being sober. She was unable to, cloud those demons, or, she was unable to dull those feelings. And that's what we know drugs do. They dull your senses, they numb you out, and that's why I used for so long. Yeah, and I also wanted to, what made me think about this was not only the addiction part of it, it was an experience that I had when I was younger. When I was about 20 in university at Ottawa U, I saw this elderly lady get smoked by a garbage truck, and she was just like laid out and dead, immediately died. And it was a horrific scene. And I came out, my dad was out there. He had ended up having to go to court for it, but like it just screwed with me because she was in her late 70s, early 80s. The driver of the garbage truck was like crying, and I just thought, man, to imagine to live to that age only to die in such a horrific manner. And for her to be using sick elderly people to, as a means, as her prey. And it's like people killing homeless people and people killing hookers, and then telling themselves that they're not an important part of society when they might be the most important part, like a war hero. And I think there was like a nun in there, and there was just some amazing people, I'm sure, who had families and who, really lived a good life. And to have it all ended by this, disgusting person, this fat, obese, drug addict who, couldn't get a hold of her emotions. So she took it out on other people. It's a tragic thing. So yeah, anyways, guys, that's about all I got on Elizabeth Wettlaufer. I'm gonna kind of turn this into like a Canadian crime channel. So, um, I'm on I'm going on my second month here in sober living. I'm gonna get some better like camera stuff, and I really don't care about the, subscribers, but it'd be nice if you guys subscribed. But I'm gonna take down all the other drug videos except for the Bernardo video, just because that's a crime video, even though I don't even like seeing myself in that video. But it's got, a lot of people. It's a popular one, and it's a controversial one, to say the least. I'm gonna try and find some like lower key criminals, Canadian criminals, to do like serial killers, to do my next one on. I have a couple ideas, so yeah, I'm gonna try and post every couple weeks if I can. If not every week, eventually. I'll see if you guys like this video or not. But anyways, it's good to be back, guys. I feel amazing. I'm so happy to be sober and finally have some time under my belt. Like the first couple weeks and couple months, and just like it's frustrating because it's hard for addicts and anyone out there who's suffering from addiction. I fucking feel you, man. I feel you. Seriously. And if you ever need to talk, hit me up. Straight up. Hit me up on YouTube. So I can at least give you some hope and maybe give you some advice. So thanks a lot, guys. Great to be back. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Thanks. Bye.